You know what time it is. You know what time it is.
How firm thy friendship. Oh,
you know what time it is. On the road with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lames. And it's Buckeyes by a billion. We in the building with over 100,000. We represent from the uttermost to the public housing. If we don't play, our wide receivers got your secondary shook, so they cook them like Bobby Flay. Hey, stay out of my way and trust me, cause I know it's OH. Somebody please give this brother an IO. Come on.
What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys, where we talk about college football with real fans. I'm Devin, that's Mello, and as you can see, man, yet again, another special guest with us tonight, Intrinsic. Intrinsic, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Doing good, getting a little anxious here. We're going to dive into that here in just a second. Mello, how about you? How's your day?
Man, I'm all right. The day's all right. Can't complain.
Okay, man. Well, a couple housekeeping things to take care of before we're just going to dive into it, man. Hit that like button for us. Hit that subscribe button as well. And if you follow us closely, man, you see me post a Braylon Womack show up for 8 p.m. on our channel. It would be on both channels, but obviously the next Scoop show is going to be going at 8. That is subject to change. That is scheduled for tonight. We're waiting to hear back on a time, or it might not happen. But it's going to happen either tonight or in the next couple of days. Braylon Womack's dad will be coming on here. We will have the latest update on his recruitment, and Braylon might be joining him as well. So I just got it up there just because it's scheduled, but we're still waiting. The time could change.
So, to be all transparent, we're waiting on, he has a meeting with Ohio State tonight. He didn't have a specific time that meeting was taking place. So I think that takes precedence over our interview. So we're really at the will of Ohio State and when they're going to contact Braylon and how long that conversation is going to take. But yeah, they need to make that right. So that's more important.
Yeah. So you're not going to get that inside information anywhere that Braylon Womack is currently on the phone with Ohio State, and it's happening tonight. So I'm sure they're working out some things, and we'll get a good feel for kind of where that's heading. But tonight, man, we're going to talk about it, dude. Obviously, we're hearing there's going to be a press conference sometime tomorrow. The NCAA is going to hold one releasing these punishments for scum. But before that, man, Justin Spiro's source, the scum source, right, has the opinion that it's only going to be a fine and Sharon Moore 2 games. And that's what we're seeing now. That for some reason, I haven't really traced back where this all started. I think it started there of, hey, this punishment is going to be light. That seems to be the pattern that everybody is picking up now, that this is now going to be a light punishment. And we're going to dive into that, man. Exactly what we expect, what we're hearing, all that stuff. And I guess I'll just start, man, because I heard Spiro come on Scoop last night. We love Spiro, man. Spiro's awesome. And he was pretty transparent about, hey, man, this is just what my source told me, a $14 million fine. And Sharon Moore will be suspended for 2 games. Those are the things he mentioned. But he also told us an interesting thing. He also said that this source, had got several facts correct on the case. But his one other previous opinion on punishments was that Jim Harbaugh would not receive a suspension. That was his opinion. Now, if you take yourself back to that scenario, to me, it was very obvious Jim Harbaugh was going to get a suspension. So there's a moment there where you can see that maybe the opinion of this source is a little bit, got them glasses on for his home team and missed it there a little bit. And again, I'm not talking negatively about any of these people. That's just what it is. And then it comes down to, okay, his source is saying these things, but it's an opinion because nobody has seen this COI yet that I am aware of. But before I dive too deep into it, I think I'll turn it over to Intrinsic here because everybody knows on Twitter and all over the place that Intrinsic is one of the best people covering this, follows it with honesty and integrity and tells it how it is, and is passionate about this thing. So, Intrinsic, tell us, where are you at, man? There's going to be a press conference tomorrow. What's up, man? What's going through your mind? We've all been hammer, and all logic points to that, and it still points to that. But where are you at?
So obviously, I'm following this really closely. What I've seen is what I would call capitulation. It's almost everybody has jumped on what I view as sourced, no penalty type narrative. And it really went into overdrive when Pete Thamel said it today. Uh, he says that can't remember exact words. He wasn't certain, but it looks like there's going to be no penalties or whatnot. The similar stuff that Justin Spiro said. So it feels out there. If someone of you are watching this right now, you probably feel that way. I can feel it too. The mood is low right now. People think there's no penalties, but the facts haven't changed. And the penalties that are being described, they do not fit the crime. They do not fit the precedent. So I don't understand why we should look at sources. Why all of a sudden we should start trusting them. And Tamil also, one thing that Spiro said is that, hey, is going to leak this to Tamil. And guess what? Leaked it to Tamil. And then all of a sudden the NCAA, like it was supposed to happen at noon, right? All of a sudden the NCAA says no. And then they pull back. And then Spiro has a post that they're going to delay it until tomorrow, and there's going to be a press conference, which press conferences are unusual as well. So this whole case is unusual. If you look at Chris Bayless, for instance, he went from slam dunking this thing to all of a sudden he doesn't know yet. It's too early for me to celebrate yet. It's not over yet. So I don't think it's over yet, and I'm not going to believe it until I see the sanctions and I see that they let him off easy. So if some of you are feeling that way, I feel it too. I mean, I'm obviously deeply embedded with this, and a lot of people have given up. That's fine, but the facts have not changed. And Ross Dellinger even reported today, look at the response on OA. And the response on OA is damning on this. So yeah, you have the Chris Bayless post right there. So if you
Mhm.
see in the Chris Bayless post, someone in there is they're cheering, they're clearly celebrating, and then he tells them to basically calm it down. We're not, what does he say? We're not laughing about anything because they're just not there yet. You're just not there yet. So, regardless, the whole public has moved, including shows that I enjoyed. Probably some of you see in my post, the Monty Show. I heard them today. They don't believe there's going to be a 2-year postseason ban anymore. So, a lot of people are buying into this sourcing, and I understand why. Pete Thamel's, like, from all means, he's a reputable reporter, but all this stuff seems to be coming out of Michigan, and none of the facts have changed. So, that's where I'm at. And that's where one of the compliance lawyers I've been working with, he's at too. Because unless somehow Stallions got them exemplary cooperation, which doesn't make any sense at all, I don't understand how they're avoiding a postseason ban on this. It would be against all precedent. And Spiro agrees with that as well. He's like, the punishment does not make sense. That's why Spiro even last night was like 52%, 55% that this might, that's where I'm leaning. So that's where
Yeah.
I am at on this right now is obviously you feel a little defeated. I feel it with you guys, but the logic and facts still tell me this should warrant major penalties. You're talking about over 6 people involved, right? That we know of, many of whom they've already admitted to. I mean, do you have some weird punishments like as a repeat offender, Moore's only gonna get 2 games. That makes no sense to me. 2 games for Moore. Like, forget about the vacated wins and postseason bans. Why is Moore only at 2 games? He had a 1 game suspension, and now he's a repeat violator, which isn't disputed. And he's gonna get 2 games. Like, so what if he violates again? It's three. Like, doesn't make any sense. The punishment doesn't. So we'll have to see how this plays out. I'm still holding out hope.
Yeah. Mello?
Listen, I like everything Intrinsics is saying, and I'm gonna hold on to that for dear life. But honestly, for me, I kind of I kind of feel like they're going to get off with a slap on the wrist, which sucks because I have several different um, bets going right now that it looks like I feel like I might end up losing. I hope I'm wrong and I win them. But at the end of the day, if the NCAA gives them a slap on the wrist, then my whole thing and messaging to specifically Ohio State, because that's the team I root for, that's the team I care about. Why are you going to follow any rules from NIL to advanced scouting to whatever? Flex your money, flex your muscle, and make them come do something. Because obviously they're not going to do it if they're going to slap someone on the wrist for the biggest cheating scandal in collegiate sports history. So if that's the case, I want Ohio State to stop handcuffing themselves in any way and go ahead and be George Steinbrenner and be big dog on campus out here and go get wins. Period. And if
Yeah.
they're not going to do that, then I have to look at Ohio State kind of funny. Like, what are you doing? Why are you not doing it? Like, the moral high ground is cool, but the fans want to watch us win. And you can still do things morally right. But if they're not going to enforce any punishment, then go ahead. It's the Wild Wild West, and you gotta the survival of the fittest. Only the strong survive, and you got to have that mentality. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you where I'm at right now. And dude, nothing has changed for me. I mean, I still think that the hammer is coming. And I've never, not necessarily postseason bans, but I think that vacated wins are still happening. And when that happens, the NCAA is not going to recognize their national title. And for me, that will make me happy. I know it won't make several other people happy, but this is what we're dealing with right now. From where I'm sitting, there's no new evidence that has been brought forth. There's no new big piece of, I mean, there's an opinion of a insider and an opinion of Pete Thamel, who, Intrinsic, didn't you say he leaked the first NOA or the revised NOA and only the stuff that tried to make scum look good? Wasn't that him?
Yeah, he had given favorable reporting to Michigan. I can't remember if it is the initial draft NOA. I believe I think it was Thamel and Feinbaum who did that. So all of a sudden he had done favors for Michigan. And that's why Spiro was saying, "Hey, this is going to be leaked to Thamel because he gets to leak the big story today, right? Because he did favors for them, and it helps him because Thamel's kind of moving into that trying to come up in the reporting world. So yeah, he definitely is preaching what he's heard from Michigan. So
Yeah.
and it sounds exactly like Justin, by the way. So we have a single point of failure here. If
Yes.
that source is wrong, we have one point of failure, and they could be wrong. I mean, it doesn't feel like it feels like right now they're going to get off. That's what the vibe is. I agree with Mello. But
Yeah.
we have one point of failure, and if that one point of failure, we're going to see the biggest rug pull ever because everybody's already celebrated, already capitulated. And what you're saying about vacated games, they came out and suspended Harbaugh mid-season. That is an unprecedented action. That was his second suspension that season. They said they had uncontroverted evidence of this scheme to gain a competitive advantage, and that competitive advantage was so great they had to step in mid-season, and they also mentioned that it had an effect on the future opponents they would play and their player safety. So how do you say and take those actions, right? And let those games stand. See, they're going to have to justify that. And if they say it's a minimal advantage, all the coaches surveyed don't agree. Spiro's gone over that. All the coaches come up with a 3 to 7 point advantage, and the ones that don't, they say it's hard to quantify even. They cheated for an advantage, they got an advantage, and they really screwed Ohio State in 22, and I felt like we were going to lose in 22, 23, anyways. But the worst part about this, if you're an Ohio, most of you probably Ohio State fans watching this, the worst part about this is when this is over, Dan Wetzel is going to drop a piece that this whole thing started by Ohio State. He is going to blame you guys. So that if it goes like this, not only is Ohio State getting, slapped in the face by letting them off, right? Because they're I mean, they're kicking Harbaugh out of the game. I mean, these are substantial penalties the guys are facing, but it's not what they deserve. They deserve something similar to a death penalty in this case. But then afterwards, they're going to blame you guys for their cheating. Isn't that ridiculous? I think that's insane.
Yeah, it is, man. But I want to back up before that a little bit, man, and talk about something because, I have believed the hammer is coming, intrinsic Q as well, Mello at one point, several people have. And let's ask ourselves, why did we believe that? Why did we believe that hammer was coming? Because of the evidence, because of the proof, because of the things we already know. They destroyed evidence. They did this. Scum was not fighting that they did this at one point in time. They lied to the NCAA. They did not cooperate. There's all this evidence up against him. That's why we believed it was coming, because of the things that we could see, the Big Ten letter, the NOA, the COI, hearing that Scum, we believe Scum lost there. I'm bringing in new evidence. Like, there's so many things along the way that led us to believe the hammer was coming. All these punishments that the NCAA has been handing out for way less minor things. And now let's ask ourselves, why all of a sudden do we feel like they're going to get off? And the answer to that is because a couple people have told us their opinions, and now we are believing that their
Yeah.
opinions, we have to be, if you're believing that they're getting off light, then we're going to have to be believing that their opinions aren't opinions, that they have seen something that has been leaked, that they've seen it, right? That's what you have to believe. I don't believe that. Now, this could happen, man. To me, if they get off light, it's the NCAA rolling over and giving up and not trying to have power in this anymore, because I think that, if they end up with a fine and some suspensions, that the power that they have is going to be absolutely drained from them, right? And then, you look at this thing and they say, all right, we're going to come in right at noon today, and now they're going to have it at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and we're going to hold a press conference. Okay. So a lot of people are trying to look into that, and what does the press conference thing mean, and why are they going to come out for a press conference, and if all they're going to do is give a slap on the wrist? Well, the main reason for a press conference is to justify the punishments. A big time case just like this, that's what they're going to do. But the last time the NCAA came out and they had a press conference on hearings was Ole Miss in 2018. And let me read you this. It says, when the decision came down, the Ole Miss decision on what the NCAA was going to do to them, Chancellor Jeffrey Vitter opened the news conference in the Manning Center by saying they were shocked the NCAA added an extra year of postseason ban on top of the self-imposed 2017 ban already. They had not expected a second postseason ban. Ole Miss had already voluntarily banned itself. Ross Bjork said the school was stunned and called the extra ban excessive and unfair to current players. So what we're seeing here is Ole Miss expected one thing. Scum is expecting one thing at this point. They're expecting a slap on the wrist. No postseason bans, no vacated wins. That's what they're expecting. But we see here yet another version of where, hey, man, these expectations, what are they based off of? Are they based off evidence? Are they based off of a feeling? Are they based off of a opinion? And if it's a feeling, like, where did that come from? What back door did that come from? Have you seen it? My question is, has anybody seen what the punishments are? If that answer is no, then nobody knows what is actually going to happen. I could be dead wrong. There couldn't be a hammer, and they could be dead wrong about it being a slap on the wrist. Nobody knows. So these feelings we're having right now, in my opinion, right, they're false feelings, right? We should still be on board because we know what they did. We know the facts. We see the evidence. We know what happened. They could get a slap on the wrist, but we already know. We already know what went down. There's no secret truth to uncover that's going to justify everything that happened in this, that's going to make us minimalize these things, right? So That's just where I'm at. I mean, these people with these opinions, they are higher ups, and I do believe that, they maybe have some higher sources than some other people, but I'm not sure they're high enough to have actually have seen these punishments. And no, I mean, even the chancellor and the athletic director, Ross Bjork for Ole Miss, they were shocked and surprised when they got it. So there's precedent for schools to be shocked on what the punishment is going to be. Right here, Ole Miss, they self-imposed a 1-year postseason ban. That's what they thought was going to happen all the way up until, guess what? The press conference, when they were just absolutely shocked that they decided to add a second year to it. So this thing ain't over at all. Nobody's seen it. I haven't seen it leaked. Nobody has said, hey, we've seen it. They're just going off of feelings. And I read somewhere the president is going away. President NCAA is trying to push him away from postseason bans and all these things. But nobody's seen it, and nobody really knows either way that we go. So
Well, hold on. So, real quick, no, the bylaws say quite clearly, this was updated for this year. They state that postseason bans, like avoiding them, they don't want to give postseason bans. I agree on that. They don't want to punish current players. But here's the thing, they do that is if you have exemplary cooperation, is straight from the Constitution. They want to reward those who cooperate, and that's how you avoid postseason ban. It literally says postseason bans are reserved for those who do not have institutions who do not have exemplary cooperation. And Michigan does not have exemplary cooperation, right? So they clearly in their bylaws, the rules that the COI is supposed to be following is postseason ban. And so that's why I've already investigated. I went through every way that this should not have happened leading up to when made my prediction. But yeah, doing what's funny is Ross Bjork. That's your guys' AD now, isn't it? Or
it is. Yep.
yeah, so he's gonna. I mean, he's very familiar about this right now. But yeah, the old Miss similarities are very striking. Also, the COI is supposed to keep this very confidential. It does get passed through an NCAA communications team, and so that's where we're believing this leak came from. But this person has never claimed to seen the document who told Spiro. Like, they've never claimed to seen the document. And the source who is saying that this is going to be light was passed over like a hearsay on the framework of the penalties. So, anyways, if you had told me a year ago, a month ago, that I have to rely on a source who hasn't seen the document to lose all hope, I would say, get out of here. These people lie about everything. They've lied during the investigation. When Harbaugh was going and taking an NFL job, they said he was getting extended. Like they lie. So no, I'm not giving up hope. I can tell you, like, okay, so the way that this could work, right? Is they could, because what we've seen today is a planned release where they were supposed to get the document at noon. Tamil reported that this morning. Spiro reported it the day before that was going to happen. All of a sudden, Nicole Auerbach comes out and says, "No, this is being set tomorrow. They're not getting the document till tomorrow at 9 with a press conference thereafter." So all of a sudden, the NCAA got concerned about leaks. So a theory, and Spiro pointed this out because I mentioned this early. I'm like, what if someone at the NCAA fed them a false story? Fed them false punishment, right? And I go, I don't believe it is the highest probability thing, but now that we see the NCAA doesn't trust them, it's possible they got fed a false story, and that's where we're at now. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be something. But the COI is not supposed to be, this isn't supposed to be leaked. This isn't standard where the penalties are leaked. Doesn't happen. It wasn't leaked during the Ole Miss case. It wasn't leaked when Ohio State had Tattoo Gate. It wasn't leaked in the Oklahoma's. Like the COI is supposed to have the person who did that could lose their job. So this being leaked isn't standard. Everything about this case is unprecedented. So where are we at now? Like we'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, you brought up Ohio State too. Let me remind people that, I mean, Gene Smith told what was it, Urban Meyer, that there's no postseason ban gonna be happening. Like a pretty high up official at Ohio State thought Nothing more was going to happen. They thought their own punishments that they implemented were going to be enough. Okay. So I don't know how much higher up you can get on the scum side of things. Whoever this high up person is that's saying that it's going to be a slap on the wrist, well, so did Gene Smith. And he was pretty high up. My guess is Gene was probably one of the first ones at Ohio State to get information on the football team. And he was telling people nothing else is going to happen. So that's my point here. But there still could not be a hammer. But what I'm saying is, intrinsic, you brought it up too, like our opinions of the hammer are coming from evidence that we know to be true. They've been verified over and over again. And based on that evidence, what do the bylaws say about the action that the evidence supports? And the bylaws state very clearly what the punishments are going to be. That's what was formed. And let's just say, for those of you people that say, man, Scoop or Buckeye Boys or whatever, or Trinsic, everybody just go away. Like if it's a slap on the wrist, you're wrong. You need to delete your accounts and all that stuff. No, man. If it's a slap on the wrist, then I'm just going to say the NCAA really missed. Why? Because I know they cheated. I know they infected the integrity of the game. I know they affected people's lives. And I will never, ever stand for that. If it was Ohio State, I wouldn't stand for it. I'm not going to stand for it now just because some NCAA, a couple group of people have decided they're just going to slap them on the wrist and they think that's enough. I don't. I never will. So you guys can say that all you want, but like we know what happened. We see what happened. And I think there needs to be harsh punishments for that. You almost got to ask yourself, if there's not harsh punishments, if there's not, I can't wait to hear them in this press conference explain why there's not, because they have to justify, why they did these things. And you got to ask yourself, like, what type of corruption is going on here if there is no harsh penalty? But again, we'll see, man. Mello, you got anything?
Couple things. If there's no harsh penalties, I don't want to hear anything from the NCAA. They pretty much don't exist. They don't matter. I don't care what they have to say. They could go ahead and just jump off the cliff. Like it's over for you. Nobody's going to take you serious. Everybody needs to do what they need to do. That's going to make their team and their program the strongest and the best, regardless of the rules, because that's exactly what's going to happen. That's number one. So number two, the reason people are kind of leaning towards the side that nothing's going to happen is quite simple, and it's just a fact. Sparrow, Intrinsic, and Scoop have been on top of this whole case more than anybody the entire time. So when you have someone like Sparrow coming out saying that one of his sources is saying that the penalties are going to be light, is going to make people take pause. When he says tomorrow Pete Thamel and Wetzel are going to drop a report, and then they drop a report, and that the penalties are going to be told on Friday, it makes it look like his sources sourced up. So, I mean, It makes it more believable that the penalties are going to be light. And that's why everybody's running with it, because they know those three entities, along with portions of 11 Warriors, have been on top of this thing since day zero, and that they're at the forefront of it, to where the point where if I'm a news reporter, I'm not investigating anymore. I'm just straight up listening to what they're saying, and I'm running with it. They're doing the work for me, if that makes sense.
Well, actually, the way that, sorry, if I can go real quick.
Yeah, do you
The way
think?
that Mello laid that out is exactly why. You stated that very eloquently. When you have people like that and those series of events that happen, all of a sudden Spiro saying that, and then what he said comes true. He even messaged me when that happened. He goes, "This doesn't bode well for penalties," right? And then we had some changes. I will say a lot of 11 Warriors definitely has, but Premier Drum, who I talk to on a daily basis, we've been discussing today. Premier Drum said a long time ago they're going to say, like, nothing is going to happen. They're going to, I have to find the post for you, but basically he called what's happening right now like a month or two ago, that they're
Yeah.
gonna leak that the penalties are light, and then when it gets hit, they're gonna cry and claim overreach. That was his read. Now, maybe that was just a weird guess, and it doesn't mean anything, but I know that Premier Drum isn't buying this at all. So, and it's not denial either, because I've talked over his reasoning for it. I mean, if you look at it, why didn't they settle? that's still a question I haven't seen a good answer for. Why would they take it to the COI over a fine? But we don't have an answer for that. We don't have an answer for why more would be at 2 games. We don't have an answer for why it's this whole deal, why there needs to be a press conference. So we'll see. But I agree with Mello. That's definitely why. Like I definitely would move my confidence is definitely down from where it was, 100% down. So
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. When you have somebody that's on top of it, like Spiro Scoop and yourself and Premier Drum and whatnot, and they're coming out saying their sources are saying that. But at the same time, right, what's an easier piece of information to gather? A time that we're supposed to receive these punishments or the punishments themselves? And on that note, remember, Spiro came on and said, this guy, my source, has been right on several facts throughout this case, but he has also been wrong. The time when the NCAA was going to suspend Jim Harbaugh mid-season, the source was very firm in saying, no, Jim Harbaugh will not be suspended. We are going to fight it in court. It's not going to happen. Spiro said that's what this same source said. And we see how wrong he was there in his opinion. Why was he wrong? Because he didn't have the facts, right? Those facts are very, very hard to come by. And now he has a new opinion. His new opinion, and he is 80% sure it's going to be a very specific $14 million fine and a 2-game suspension for Sharon Moore. Well, he was wrong before when it comes to, giving an opinion on the future of a team that he's clearly in love with. He works there and he roots for him and all that stuff. So there is also that possibility, So it's just like you got to think this thing through and understand those things. And Intrinsic, you brought up a really, really good point, man. If all this is a fine and Sharon Moore is getting a 2-game suspension, why did they fight it this hard? Why did they keep on fighting when they self-imposed a 2-game suspension already? But I mean, I know people are going to come out and say, well, because they fought it and they won. That's why they were fighting it, to get this result, because the NCAA was, too hard on up front, and then they went throughout this thing. But do those negotiations? Is it a negotiation process throughout the investigation, like after the COI is involved? Or I thought the punishment gets dropped, and if the school didn't like it, then they can appeal. Like, I wasn't aware that throughout this investigation, the school can be negotiating when they have already decided to take it the full length. Do you know anything
no,
about
no,
that, Intrinsic?
no. Yeah, so they can negotiate up until the COI. Once the COI happens, they can't negotiate. So yeah, they
That's
could
my
have
point.
settled this thing. But I tell you, the language and Bellinger. So there's some things that kind of this my spidey sense, right? Like so, Belas. If you want to pull up my Twitter again, you don't have to, but it says all of a sudden Belas posts something today. It should be down, maybe 6 posts down or something. That all of a sudden he's talking about overreaching and overcharging. And so he has that combined with him backing off on one, right? And then also you have Ross Dellinger, who I believe is one of the sharpest reporters out there, pointing towards his response in a way about, you know, the punishments being wildly exaggerated. So are them being Michigan
Hey, and
unpleasant with the penalties.
Intrinsic, which post are you talking about? The one I already had pulled up, or a new one?
No, no. So this would be, it's literally just a screenshot and it should just look white with some blue highlighting. Um, you shouldn't be able to see.
Because I
Can
pulled
you
the one
guys,
up where it said, "Where's
can
the
you
hammer?
guys,
We're not laughing now."
can you still hear me?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, because I'm on my Twitter. Let me see. It is the
Oh,
one. So if you
oh, I see it.
follow, you
I
see it
got it.
now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me do this. Is this it?
Yeah.
Michigan has already. Yeah.
So see all of a sudden he switched. So this was went from party mode. Okay. It went from party mode to this. And if you look at this, it says, it just lost. Okay. He says in there, Michigan has already responded to, so he repeats something about grossly overreaching and wildly overcharging. So then if you go, can you back up and then go to my main post again? Then I want you to see the Ross Dellinger one. It shouldn't be long from that. Even down, yeah, no, down more. So just be a eyeballs on Ross Dellinger.
Right
Yeah,
here,
right there,
Ross
right there.
Dellinger.
So click
Okay.
on, yeah. So read what he says in short. Read that.
With the NCAA's decision on Michigan coming Friday, a link back to the at Yahoo Sports story on Michigan's response to the NOA. In short, Wolverines were not pleased. If the NCAA levies a significant penalty against the school, legal action may be likely.
So you have Balas talking about legal action. Then all of a sudden you have Ross Dellinger talking about his response NOA. And the response NOA was a document that I used because I used three documents: the Big Ten letter, the initial draft NOA, and the response NOA. In the response NOA, this is where the NCAA is clearly saying they're looking for an aggravated failure to monitor. I've gone over that on other shows, but it's very scathing, and it had a 137-page response. So it was a lot of allegations and a lot of material and evidence that the NCAA had on them. And that's why it was so scathing. It's like they're asking for an aggravated case here. And so we went over all the aggravators and mitigators, and we posted in the public, and we said, hey guys, which ones are we missing here? And we had some Wolverine fans chime in. So we went through it. So all of a sudden, Ross Dellinger was really short. He seems to be cut out of the loop a little bit, but all of a sudden he posts his response NOA. Like it's almost like he's telling you, "Go, guys, go look back at my response NOA." And so, if you guys want to read this, go back to the response NOA and read what the claims are in there, and read the wording. They're calling the institution a repeat offender. They're saying that. So I believe that the NCAA was asking for an aggravated failure to monitor. Now, did Michigan just win in court in front of the COI? Maybe. Maybe that's what happened. I guess we'll find out tomorrow. But I thought that was interesting, the timing of those two things, how we went from we're celebrating to all of a sudden we're overcharging and this press conference is on held. That all happened at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's still hope to be held out. It definitely, as Mello said, when you have those series of events, someone claiming they heard from a source that this is happening, and then it comes true. And then you have even Pete Thamel, who we suspect to be hearing from the same source, but he's all of a sudden putting his reputation on the line. He does also say he's not certain, just like Spiro, he's not certain. And even Balas says he's not certain. So nobody is certain right now. So if you're certain nothing's going to happen, that's definitely not even what these people are telling you at the moment.
Hold on. I want to back up real quick. So you said the only way that you think that the punishment can be light is if they want a COI. How would that be possible if they took it to that far and the evidence was that overwhelming? And the COI, if I'm not mistaken, are the same people that are accusing and charging them. So how would they win against the people that are charging them?
No, so the NCAA, they have the enforcement arm of the NCAA. So they go ahead and so they're not the investigatory arm, they're the enforcement. So they're the ones that after investigation is complete, they sorry, not the enforcement, the investigation one. So they NCAA does the investigation and they do the enforcement. The COI is a separate entity of volunteers. The NCAA appoints them and they're governed by the NCAA, but they are independent and separate. They are like a jury, Mello. So so in front of the jury, this jury was somehow swindled to do light penalties. Because I believe that I mean, if you just follow this logically, they didn't settle because the NCAA wanted something that they couldn't swallow. That has to be the case because
The
otherwise they would
Natty.
have settled. Yeah, but yeah, you just would settle, right? Like if,
Yep.
but the asking price was too high. Michigan wasn't willing to pay it, so they're like, we're better off taking this to the COI because at least there we have a chance. We get new eyes on it, and then so the COI all of a sudden is ruling obviously with more with Michigan because it looks to me like they I mean it's literally like unbelievably low penalties. Just a fine, like just basically what it is, just a fine. Uh so yeah,
It
I
doesn't
hope that
seem
answers.
logical to me. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, the
No,
only reason I even thought that it might be a possible slap on the wrist is because, like I said, Spiral report. Otherwise, it doesn't seem logical to me that they will even get a slap on the wrist. because then they
Yeah.
just basically got rid of their entire existence.
Well, Spiro,
Yeah.
who broke the case, says this does not make sense. He's like gone back and forth with it. I've gone back and forth with him. He talks to other people too. The penalties do not make sense. And this isn't because we hate Michigan. If you literally just read those three documents and you read of the evidence that they claim to have had, the charges, and you read the response, they're wildly overreaching. Like, this is going to be a huge log out legal fight. We're going to attack the whistleblowers. They were asking for a lot. So this would be like an OJ Simpson like victory for Michigan. Should this be light? And like I said, Spiro says this doesn't make sense, and he's the one that broke it in the first place. So it does not make sense, Mello. Like if this happens, there should be an outrage because this does not make sense. So that's what makes me wonder about that press conference. Is this a CYA press conference? Because they're gonna have to explain to a lot of people why they let cheating go on for that long. They finally caught it, and they basically just give a fine. Because how it looks like you said, if I'm a school and I'm responsible for monitoring my coaching staff. I basically get no penalty for that when it's aggravated. I mean, it's repeat offended, like the repeat violators here, right? Like, and it's gone on. There's 18 violations over 4 years, right? It's just like Ole Miss had 20 over 5. So all of a sudden you're going to pull back money. You're going to say, hey, you're the head coach, you're responsible, and only penalties that happen are to the coaches, and then they can just leave. I mean, what school wouldn't trade a natty for $14 million? Yeah, every school would sign up for that today, including Ohio State, by the way. It just is what it is.
Yeah, man. I know. Like, here's the deal. Regardless of what the NCAA does, we know that they cheated. We know that Connor Stallions advanced scouted, what was it, like 17 games or something on 53 different occasions. We know that staff members for Scum were telling players to lie to the NCAA. We know that Jim Harbaugh told his staff not to worry too much about the NCAA rules. Now, that was in the recruiting things, but this is the type of program that we know they are, regardless of what the NCAA does. And I know nobody wants to hear that. I understand that. But still, all this has brought to the light the type of program that they are and the type of the program that, I hope they don't continue to be. But at this point, if they only have to pay $14 million, boy, you better watch out, man. They are hacking the headsets. That is the next move, man. They're going to have a headset on their sideline, and everything you say into yours, they are going to hear because, yeah, Intrinsic, I agree with you. There's not a team in the country that wouldn't, trade, $14 million for a national title. I mean, Texas Tech's roster this year is $55 million.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
like, it
Well,
ain't.
what Melo was saying, like, no, that all of a sudden becomes the meta of the game. It becomes the new meta. Because if you're not going to have rules and you're not going to enforce those rules as they're written, then literally it is that's the new meta. You get away with it. Like just like if it's in the game, if you can get away with certain holding penalties, they're gonna let you hold the guy. You're gonna hold the guy, right? Like it's just regardless. Like that's what I'm concerned about. What's the future of the game moving forward? Because you might as well do
Yeah.
the headsets. Because worst case, right? Worst case, you get a fine, and the person who's the one that's on the little hacking thing gets suspended, right? Like, he gets a show cause or whatnot. So if that's the worst case, just go ahead. Like that's the new
Well,
meta of the
well,
game. If everyone else is doing it, you might as well do it. Like
not only
that's how
that,
they want it to be.
not only that, you got to mention the head coach of the team also gets a nice higher paying job in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, because he
yeah,
was on his way out. Like people don't understand how upsetting this is because there's players they cheated against, right? There's players who probably got injured because of this. 22 Ohio State, you can't convince me that team wasn't beating Michigan. Give me a break. Like they cheated every single play. That's the reason why the suspicions had gone up to that TCU game is because against certain opponents, Ohio State being one of them, they were in the right formation on every single play. They were cheating as much as possible. Like that's why when they try to say it's like going over the speed limit, taking too far. It's like if you played a video game and there's guys hacking, like if you ever play Call of Duty and someone's hacking or they got wall hacks or something like that, this
Yeah.
person's hacking on every single one. Like at least try to hide it. Like
Yeah.
these people are just blatantly cheating, and this whatever.
Hey, listen, I'm just not, me personally, I'm not buying it. I'm not down in the dumps if for some reason the penalty is light. I mean, my feelings are going to remain the same about them. It's not going to change what I know and how I feel. It's going to be very upsetting, but we got to get out of here. But
Yeah.
let's get these super chats, man. Will, the thrill, thanks for the $9.99. My gut feeling has always been a slap on the wrist. The NCAA doesn't have the balls to severely penalize one of their biggest brands. I hope I'm wrong. I got a lot riding on this for Scoop. A lot riding on this for Scoop too. Well, Ohio State is a bigger brand, and they postseason banned them for trading goods. So the big brand thing, maybe it means more now, but I don't buy that. They weren't. If they're the biggest brand, then how come the Big Ten was super successful last year and they weren't in the playoffs? Nobody complained about that. The Big Ten does not need them. It just, I don't think that's part of it, but I get the thinking behind it. Bobby, thanks for the 5. Do we get to claim our bowl ban year as a national championship if Scum doesn't get the hammer? Do we get our vacated wins back? Bobby, dude, trust me, I know, man.
Yeah.
There's so many questions and stuff. No, you guys got anything, Mello, anything to that?
Man, I can't wait for tomorrow. It's going to be interesting to say the least, but tune in, keep that notification bell on the Buckeye Boys alert alive. Click on it, like, subscribe, because we don't know what time we're going to go live tonight, but there's a high possibility we'll have the Womack family going live, and they're willing to talk.
Yeah. Last one, intrinsic, I'll let you go. Bourbon and Buckeyes, $5. Michigan doesn't want to go to the courts. The NCAA would have subpoena power. Blake and Connor LLC. The Blake would be the modern day Reggie Bush. Yeah, man, there's so many things about this that is just wild. But intrinsic, closing thoughts, man.
Yeah, closing thoughts. I'm excited for tomorrow. They did know about Blake Corn, by the way. There are recordings of Michigan admin admitting that they had knowledge of Blake and Connor's relationship. So there's that. Yeah. But anyways, I'll
Oh,
go on that. I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for having me on.
yeah,
Michigan
thanks
cheated.
for
And
dropping that and leaving.
yep.
All right, brother. Hey, appreciate you, man. You have a blessed day.
We're going to have to do another show on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right, guys.
I
You
know.
guys take care.
All right, you too.
You too, man. See you later.
See ya.
Yeah, guys, appreciate you guys. Don't forget to hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button on both channels. And like Mello said, man, on another note, football season is almost here. The recruiting class is finalizing. Will Ohio State land the number one safety in the country, Braylon Womack? A lot of people are wanting that to happen. Hopefully, we're going tonight. There's a very good possibility we are. If not tonight, it will be in the next couple of days. We'll get the family on here and have a discussion, man. But we appreciate you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next Nevada and B. Moses. They're going to dive into this even deeper. I'm going to be tuning into that as well. But y'all have a blessed night, man. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH.
I.O. we're the natty champs, baby. King of the hill.
Yes, sir.